When we think of a vampire, we usually picture a suave aristocrat in a velvet cape, hunting under the cover of night. But the true mythological ancestor of the vampire is a creature from ancient Greece known as the Empusa. She waits on unlit roads at night. She seduces lone travelers, drains their blood, and consumes their flesh. But right as she strikes, you might notice a bizarre physical detail. One of her legs is made of solid, gleaming bronze, and the other leg is a donkey's hoof, or according to some ancient stories, a mound of cow dung. Her lopsided, clanking walk completely ruins the disguise. For a culture that prized symmetry, this clanking, lopsided design is a deliberate piece of visual storytelling. Every mismatched part of her body was a physical map of where the Greeks drew the lines between safety and the unknown. The Greeks themselves knew how funny this was. In 405 BCE, the playwright Aristophanes featured an Empusa in his comedy The Frogs, having her frantically shapeshift to terrify the god Dionysus for a cheap laugh. Thousands of Athenians sat in the theater of Dionysus and roared with laughter at this clanking, mismatched demon. To figure out why a blood-drinking nightmare was cursed with the legs of a barnyard animal, we have to look past the punchline and examine what the Greeks truly feared about the spaces in between. Far from the safety of the city walls and crowded theaters, travelers faced dark, isolated paths. These lonely routes were the domain of Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft, the dark face of the moon, and the underworld. Hecate ruled over a concept called liminality. A liminal space is a transition zone where you belong to neither one place nor the other, like a crossroads. The Empusae were Hecate's spectral enforcers, dispatched directly from the underworld to haunt these intersecting paths. A physical crossroads is the exact point where the safety of human civilization ends and the wild unknown begins. It is the perfect habitat for a monster. Those mismatched legs suddenly make perfect sense if we split her down the middle. The bronze leg is a product of the forge, representing the structured, artificial world of civilization. The donkey leg is raw and unrefined, tying her to the untamed animal wilderness. Her own body is a walking crossroads. She defies biological categorization, belonging entirely to neither the human, the animal, nor the artificial world. That ambiguity is exactly what made her terrifying. This mastery over the boundaries of reality extended directly into her hunting tactics. According to myths set in the city of Corinth, an Empusa would conjure massive, convincing illusions of gold and luxury to seduce her prey. A young student named Menippus fell perfectly into one of these traps. He met a beautiful, wealthy woman and fell in love. He arrived at her lavish estate for their wedding feast, but an uninvited guest crashed the party, a sage named Apollonius of Tyana. He looked at the bride and immediately saw through the phantom silver to the monster underneath. Apollonius didn't draw a sword. He simply started insulting her. He mocked her openly in front of everyone. Harsh insults shatter her power of illusion. Mockery forces the Empusa out of that ambiguous, powerful liminal state, shrinking her down until she has to confront the absurdity of her own existence. Beyond the theater, the Empusa functioned as a living cautionary tale. She was the personification of a nightmare that targeted a very specific vulnerability in the Greek citizen. In a society where a family's status relied on inherited wealth and public reputation, being lured into a phantom house to be drained dry meant the literal end of a bloodline. Her illusory gold was a warning that for a man to lose his wits was to lose his legacy. It is no coincidence that her victims were almost exclusively young men. She represented the terror of a male-dominated world losing control to a female force that could neither be wed nor reasoned with, a predator who operated entirely outside of male authority. This is why the story of Apollonius mattered. It wasn't just a fairy tale, it was a manual. If a man could use his intellect to strip away the illusion and mock the monster, he could restore the social order and force the unknown back into the dark. The ancient Greek civilization eventually collapsed, and Christianity rose to take place, but the Empusa's mythological DNA survived the transition. Over the centuries, her highly specific traits, like the bronze and donkey legs, faded. Her identity blurred with other seductive, child-eating demons of the ancient world, like the Lamia. The core archetype of the blood-drinking seductress slowly migrated north and west, weaving its way into the foundational folklore of Eastern European vampires. Today, that nocturnal, shape-shifting predator is a staple of our own pop culture, hunting in modern cities instead of ancient dirt roads. The clanking bronze leg is gone, but the hunger remains. The demon from the crossroads never actually left us. She just swapped her mismatched feet for a more modern disguise.